right here we'll be looking at another disturbing issues that has to do with the masses. The issue of electricity has continued to linger for a very long time, and Nigerians have not been able to get it right when it comes to pricing or getting the right management to ensure that Nigeria enjoys electricity. So this morning we'll be looking at improving pricing and tariff structure. I have two very important guests in the studio. I'll start from my far right. He is Chief Prince Will Okore. He is the Executive Director, Electricity Consumers Protection Advocacy Center. Very good morning to you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
My right here, I have Adedayo Adegbele. He is the Convener and Executive Director, also Power Up Nigeria. Very good morning to you.
Adedayo Adegbele.
Adedayo, okay, fine. Thanks for that correction. Right, let me begin with you.
It's all right.
We know what transpired a few weeks ago with the new increase in tariff for Band A, just like they call it. For now, most people never knew where they belong. Whether Band A, Band B, or Band E. As it is now, we are not really sure how is this pricing being done. How come we are just knowing now? Why did it take this long for Nigerians to know that we actually have what they call Band A in electricity pricing, in tariff pricing?
Well, it is rather unfortunate that Nigerians are coming out to say this is the first time they are getting to know that
most people never knew where they were.
It is also interesting because this idea of banding customers by the hours of supply that they receive this is the 4th year. It's going to be 4 years this year. That banding was introduced in 2020 when the last administration insisted that they need to phase out subsidy on electricity tariff, and the regulators decided to redesign our classification of customers. And so it's funny that today people are claiming, I think it's a deliberate ignorance that they are claiming. I mean it's always on your receipt or your bills what classifications they are on. But I love this argument, I love this uproar in quotes, because now what we've been trying to get a lot of people to be interested in, automatically the removal of the subsidy on Band A customers has thrown up that conversation, and a lot more people are now interested in hearing more or getting to know more about this sector. Then maybe when we get this attention, then we can pass other messages that we've also been trying to pass.
I understand that it's not just the banning that has been the problem, because if you look at how people are being priced in terms of tariff, there is always this disparity. And there are areas where you feel that you pay high, some places where you pay low. There are places where you don't even get light at all, but you're being billed as high as more than 66 naira, according to how some persons will say. Before it was now 220, about let's say more than 200 naira in the new pricing.
Right. First of all, let me
just go to.
I need to clear something. We just made a statement that I think we need to clear. The banding was done in such a way that people that have the infrastructure to be able to take more energy, those are the ones that's why they exclaim, that's why they put them in between 20 and 24 hours band. Then between 15 and 19, less than 20-hour band, between 12 and 15. It's because of the kind of infrastructure that's usually available at those places. And I don't think anybody that don't receive energy gets as high as 66 naira. In fact, I think the cost-reflective tariff as at the 2020 MITO that was done, and 2022 MITO, December 2022 MITO, that's the multi-year tariff order, the cost-reflective tariff was about 64 naira, and the allowed tariff in some area was as close as 58 naira. It's only maybe in Yula Disco that has a huge disparity. You understand? So it's not as if you have zero supplies and you're paying as high as that.
Chief Prince Will, I don't know your own argument on the pricing for consumers. Does it differ from what he just said now?
I differ from what my colleague here is saying. In the first place, we have the supply side and the demand side. And from the supply side, that is government. This is a regulatory policy that Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission came up with. They regulate. Both of us are outside government, so we can't speak for them. They will speak for themselves. Beyond that, it's false to say that infrastructure is what determines how the electricity comes. It's false. Pape here was in Band A. I live in Pape. It was last year. I went to their office here and I insisted to know my band. And they said it was Band A. By then, we are not, yesterday we had no light at night in my place. There was no light. You stay in a week, you wouldn't have light. And you are in Band A. People in Ajebile, is there infrastructure problem here now that will make electricity come or not to come? Now, having said that, the issue of people knowing their band or not knowing their band, and even this tariff increase, is illegal. Because Section 116 of the Electricity Act 2023 provides the criteria for tariff review. And make the tariff review in 2022 when they introduced what they call service-based tariff. And this service-based tariff meant that you get according to how you are served. Now, how come that tariff is now increased for Band A without the normal processes that Section 116 of the Act provides? For instance, there should be consultation with the consumers. Now, sometimes when we talk about this sector, let us shift from government and look at the consumers who are on the demand side. Because when you look at the demand side, I don't think any patriotic Nigerian will begin to defend what is happening. Because you cannot review tariff without consultation with the consumers. They need to make input. And you need to consider the quality of service. You need to consider how you serve the people. The way they increased before, again, do you know that this increase, where it is even more painful, if you look at the request that the discos presented for tariff review that was done before this one of the requests they made was that there was loan given to them by CBN to acquire meter in 2020, and that was under National Mass Metering Program. That meant that they will get the meter and give to consumers free. How many consumers got that meter? And now they increased tariff and said that it is for them to generate money to pay off that loan. How can consumers be made to pay loan they didn't benefit from?
If you're going to generate resources to pay back your loan, it means the entire band should have the same, probably the same level of increase.
96 billion naira was brought out by CBN and given to discos for them to provide meter free for Nigerians under National Mass Metering Program. Now, how many persons got the meter? Now, you're talking about knowledge of people knowing about the bands, like my colleague said 4 years ago. Who is responsible for enlightenment? Shouldn't the government or the power Ministry of Power or NEC or the discos enlighten consumers on the nature of service? Because if you look at the even now section 119 of the Electricity Act that is on consumer protection and licensing performance standards, and one of it is that it has to do with service performance standards. They are supposed to tell the people how they are serving them and how they are billing them, so that people will know. This idea of increasing it without going through the process of a tariff review, and then we are now beginning to tell people about Band A as an ad hoc thing, I don't think governance should go that way.
Okay,
it's wrong.
Let me come back to Adedayo. Now, we're talking about sensitization, because if Nigerians are aware about this politics, I don't think we'll be having so much of this back and front, whether or not a tariff should be increased. You talked about structure. I said, no, we have the structures on ground, but it's just there's no sincerity in my own terms in what they are doing, because the people were not carried along. Don't know whether you told things that seem like.
One thing is clear, and I think those of you that are in the media will also agree with that, because I mean that's also my background. So I have, there is never enough sensitization. You can get to do an advocacy meeting this morning, and by night you see people that will tell you, why did you do it in the morning? Because I wasn't going to be around or available in the morning. So you have to find a way to repeat that same thing in the night. So yes, maybe NEC has not come out to publicly do enough. It's possible. Yes, Ministry of Information, Ministry of Power might not have done enough on their own. Yes, I also believe that the discourse should have been sanctioned. The funny thing about it is that the guys that are primarily behind or the main beneficiaries of even this tariff, this subsidy removal on the band A customers, who happens to be the Gencos, unfortunately I have not heard a single peep from them, you know. So yes, I mean, there can never be enough of sensitization, there can never be enough of advocacy, and everybody should try and wake up to that reality. Let me speak to my experience when it comes to advocacy. We've called meetings, several meetings on different platforms, on radio, on TVs, we've done town hall meetings on TV, we've done social media engagement. When we do polls on social media, it annoys me when we do polls and you are getting 20, 30 feedback in like 3 days. Meanwhile, you see somebody that is polling on Big Brother Nigeria, okay, or any social event, and you'll be seeing thousands of feedback and be wondering, are these same set of people not affected by the same thing? Is it not the same space? You see the impression going into millions, and you see the results. So it keeps bothering me when I see when you do space on X, for instance, to talk about all these kind of issues. You see barely 20-30 people participants. Only a few people will be talking that are knowledgeable enough to speak on it. So I also believe that, and like I said, my opening this thing, it is a good thing that this is happening, because now more Nigerians seem to be more interested in that conversation. More Nigerians are now wondering, am I also in band A? And by the way, the band A set of people that they increased or they removed subsidy for, they account for only about 15% of the total number of.
Removed for only band A or for electricity?
It's only for band A. The subsidy was removed. That's why when you are asking why the tariff increment is not the same, it can't be the same, because what has happened now is that those on band action, those on band B downwards, if you don't get up to 20 hours, their tariff will be frozen.
Those in band A are also having the same.
There are mechanisms that are put in the sea. You can decide to continue to fight the system, right, and don't get results, or you can get involved. A lot of people that call themselves advocates, they invited them for meetings in several fora. Many of them don't get to open their mouth and say all these things that we go on TV to blab about. We don't say when we are in front of these regulators. We don't say when we are in front of the minister. It's only when we are on air that we hear noise. Now, they invited you. A lot of them are, they invite you for roundtable parties. They invite you for even the tariff we are talking about. Go to NEC, it's on record, the kind of involvement that my organization did when we are doing the tariff review. We did a lot of, we look at their capex, we look at their opex, and we look at, all sorts of issues that they bring in their proposals. We will collect their proposals ahead, we will digest it, we will also bring our own feedback to the table. Let me ask you this. As an advocate, there's only so much influence you have on the final decision process. So what our organization, for instance, what we have decided to do is that if we have 10 requests, and we come to the table with the 10 requests, and we defend our requests, right? We defend the reasons behind our request, and we get 3, 4 at any sitting. I think that's the positive. That is advocacy. It's not just fighting and calling names and quoting laws that don't exist or misquoting the laws. That is advocacy.
Okay, let's leave it there. Now, the funding for this Gencos and Discos, just like you mentioned, the CBN.
Sorry, can I interject? Please, can I interject? Let me interject. He said quoting laws that does not exist.
I'm coordinating this interview.
Can I interject?
I'll give you space. I'll
Please
give
do.
space for you
Please
to do that, sir.
Let's not misinform the public.
Yes,
because this is a media outfit. We cannot misinform listening publics.
I'll give you
saying your calling programs and people are not coming, you are enlightening them and they are not
time for you to
and you're going to X. How many consumers have when they use their phone
to react to that?
Please.
We are not here to.
No, but it's
we are here to educate the masses.
Of course, but we don't misinform them.
How do we begin to checkmate how these allocations that are being made to? You talk about carpets and the OPEX for this agency. I know I have a record where money were released to these persons for infrastructures. There are instances where communities buy their transformers, communities buy their poles, and then yet these things are returned back to this same discos or discos to manage. It now becomes the property of discos, and then when you are now bringing bills for them, you still increase their bills.
In fact,
so what happens to the money?
In fact, the discos even account, they will record your investment under their capex. That's how bad the situation is. But you see, again, we can continue to look at the problem, right? But on the other hand, we can decide to say, okay, what are the solutions to this problem? So yes, part of the efforts that we have been making, right? Unfortunately, some of these things are private letters, official letters.
No, I just want us to leave
as we speak today.
Your organization, tell us what you think is the problem.
As we speak right now, thinking what the problem is not the solution. It's looking at what the solution is. The problem is there. Consumers are buying transformers, which is even against the law, right? If you are going to buy a transformer, you are meant to receive or to have allowed what is it called? To have written the discourse and say this is the investment we are making in our neighborhood. How do we get our money back, right? But as we speak right now, part of the positive that we are getting back is that we have been engaging the regulators since last year, and any minute from now, in fact, we mentioned it in one or two recent events. Any minute from now, you will get to see that any community will go around this country, and any community that has invested in discos on the discos network will be asked to come up with the investment papers, so that they can be, what's the word for it? They can be reimbursed.
All right, let me come back to Prince Will. I know there are also claims or allegations that when you buy a unit, your money, probably what was supposed to be given to you, will be added on the units you're buying as a way of compensating you for what you spend. I don't know if that is correct. You tell us, because you've been interfacing with the regulators. Before you react to this first comment on the laws, because most people are not aware of this. Just like we said, sensitization has always been the key problem when it comes to consumers and the regulators.
Let me start this way. Advocacy is not psychophancy. Advocacy does not mean that we'll encourage what is wrong and now begin to pretend as if it's not wrong and to please the powers that be. It shouldn't be that way. For instance, this is what we are discussing now. The Electricity Act 2023 came up last year, and NEC came up with customer protection regulations. Section 47(1) of that act, that their regulation, provides that the discos should carry out consumer awareness enlightenment on their customer complaints unit and NEC forum. Where has it been done? That act that came into existence, section 119, I will quote the law because I can't talk outside the law. Talking outside the law is propaganda that doesn't have basis. But what we are saying here is the regulator has a responsibility to ensure that the discos perform. Now, when they don't perform, is it wrong for people to say you are not performing? We have all written letters. I can't use your platform now to promote my association or my organization and what we've been doing. We've all been engaging. If we've not been engaging, we don't have the information we have. It's just like my colleague said, they have been doing engagements and people refuse to come. I challenged NEC last time they had a program at Merit House, one of the tariff reviews they wanted to do. I said, AEDC is covering how many states? And you just come to Abuja here and invite a few people in Abuja to the hall and say you have done consultation in AEDC area. It's deceptive. You don't deceive the people. Things should be done the way the law provides it. If there is no rule of law, There is no need for governance. So what we are saying is, this, for instance, what you're asking me about meter now and the billing. MAP, under meter access provider, it provides that if a consumer pays for a meter, he should get energy credit back. How many persons have been given back? The reason we talk about these things is not like we come and talk, we must talk about them. Because we have to say it so that consumers will know. Since the regulators and the discos are not telling them their rights, not making them know where they belong, we need to let them know. Because the ignorance is a deliberate attempt to keep consumers ignorant. So that created and cheated. Some people saying what should be obvious. I don't think it should be that way. So we should look at these things objectively. As it stands now, how many companies are working? As it stands now, how many MSMEs are working? Cost of fuel is high, and you are removing tariff in electricity. The act provide that subsidy removal should be done according to bands. Is there no procedure for tariff review? So why was the procedure not followed? And suddenly it just came up with Jacob Band A and said, where have we gotten light for 20 hours? Where? It doesn't exist. Besides, shouldn't the consumers even understand the laws that guide this sector? Shouldn't they? So it's not as if people, right, for instance, like this thing now, do you know we've written letters to the Ministry of Power severally, set up a unit on consumer protection. Let the policies concerning consumers be implemented. They wouldn't listen. You give them, they throw it away. You read the next said they set up consumer neck forum office. Things are happening. So we cannot live on propaganda or deceit. We can't live on psychophancy or praise singing or doing the job of another person. The NEC has PRO. I would like to see NEC staff on a set. Let him come and explain these things. Not for my colleague and fellow non-state actors to be the ones to come and be defending what NEC themselves should talk. Because there's an extent to get to that. It's not fighting. You say we always say they are fighting. They are fighting. Should we be realizing when they are cheating on us?
Protection Commission do it in this regard also.
So that, repeat that question. I didn't get to hear from you.
We have the Federal Competitive and Consumer
FCCPC, yes.
Commission on issues that have to do with consumers.
Yes.
Basic commodities. We'll talk about electricity. So when did they come in this aspect? Like for instance, at the weekend, they were calling on Nigerians to report any arbitrary increase in goods and services.
Yeah.
And they have not heard them say much about electricity. It doesn't mean that there's no agency that is fighting for consumers or electricity consumers.
But FCCPC are doing things in the electricity space as well. By the virtue of my engagements, I mean the last MD that left, Babatunde Rukera, I worked closely with him. I know for a certainty that they've gone round, but like I said, maybe these things are not just enough yet. Maybe we need to find a way to break these things down further, right, for Nigerians. If you go to their handle on X, on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, you will see a lot of engagement they've done around the country. They recently did one in Lagos. That's for FCCPC. So I don't think it would be right for us to say they are not doing in that space. Of course, they're in that space. But again, if an organization funded by the federal government, if they are also struggling, so you can imagine what private, non-state actors are also doing.
Very few minutes to end.
That's always unfortunate.
Yes, as we wrap up, I want us to look into the funding of this because we mentioned it earlier. Because is there any mechanism that the government put in place to actually monitor how this goes and this goes? Utilize this fund. We heard of cases of corruption in discos. For instance, the ECO instance. Up to this moment, the government has not really responded to that allegations of ghost workers in the ECO disco in Lagos State. I want you to just throw light on that as we wrap up this segment.
You are the media. You will find out why they are not responding and what is happening. It's not for me to say. Because it's just like when you talk about OPEX and CAPEX. It's the same NEC that approves it for them. Do NEC ask them, how much have you used? These transformers, that what are they using their capex for? When you say it, they will say you are fighting. But the truth is, why is it that we know the NEC will be eager to increase tariff, but they will not be eager to question how they are using the monies they've approved for them? So the system where you see that there is no responsive approach to ensure that people carry out what they should do, and then every day are talking of inadequate tariff, lack of liquidity. Now you go to zones like he's talking about X. In your local government, how many people are on X? How many people are on internet in your community? How many have light to go and check? Now when you put it on X, so are we now looking at what class of people are they serving? And then the people they collect this money from, who don't even have meter, who are being exploited, are the people in the communities, the people in the local government areas. Are they the people that will go to X and get the information? You will go to the community and collect money, but you will go to the community and give them information. You will go to the internet and put it on X, but you will go to that community and collect money. When this government came to power, they went to campaign in every political ward. They went to every local government. They went to every state. Then when they bring up a policy, they will not enlighten the same people they went to campaign to vote for them, to let them know what the policy is. They now go to X and go to social media. Meanwhile, money is collected from communities that spent their money to buy transformer, pole and wire. I mean, it's injustice. It's inhuman and degrading treatment against the citizens.
Any last word from you, Dario, as we move over to our story?
All right. There are a lot of things for us to unpack from the subsidy removal from Band A customers. Like they said, that accounts for 15% of consumers. Every other band below, so if your service is not getting up to 20 hours in a day and you're on Band B below, the tariff is still frozen to the MITO December 2022. So I don't think we really have much fear. Now, one of the reasons why the subsidy was removed was because of the load on government. Now, I'm not here to speak for government, but the impact of that subsidy, if you notice recently between January and March, the power situation around the country, went bad. It is because we are not able to pay the gas providers that are providing Gencos gas so that they can generate power. So what the idea behind that subsidy removal was that they can reduce that debt, that load on the debt, and we can have more power supplies.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.